So we have a joint committee meeting today of Senate Appropriations 1 and 2. This is a continuation of what we've been working on with Senator Staines and me and the committee members. And what we do in the beginning of every year is we make sure, because there is a statutory recommendation, that we move forward on what COGVA is going to recommend from a revenue standpoint. We've been following that and making sure that we hear what COGVA's recommendations are. We think it's to the benefit of for all of us to understand where we're at from a revenue standpoint, and then also to give Gambi an opportunity after that to speak to it. And then post that, we're going to have an update on where we're at on the new spending reform law, budgeting for results we've had for been in place for a couple of years, but the progress that the administration has made, and we have some guests here today to speak to that. So we have an ambitious agenda. I want to keep in mind the reason why we're starting this with talking about revenue first is because the law that exists in the state of Illinois is that we identify revenue first. This isn't a cost-based budget anymore. It's revenue-based. It's like, how much money do we have to spend? And then we're deducting fixed costs and moving towards allocating money to programs based on their performance, so based on what works, and moving forward and making decisions about reforming or getting rid of what doesn't. So this is our opportunity to hear progress that's been made at the state level, but most important in the beginning to start out looking at where we're at from a revenue standpoint. So I welcome and appreciate everyone here. I'm glad that I'm joined by my chair from Appropriations 1, Senator Staines, and I appreciate her leadership on this, and all the members of the Senate who've come here today. So before we begin, I'm going to have the clerk call the roll. And so I'm excited about that. And so I wanted to compliment you. I appreciate the fact that you're here. And we know that this is the equivalent of it's a very steep uphill climb, and it's not going to happen overnight. So excuse the interruption.
Great. Hi, I'm Jason Saul, Commissioner on the Budgeting for Results Commission. I want to quickly echo the contributions that John Camus and Crystal Thomas have made, and the others on the Commission. I think just from my work in this field that the progress has been tremendous and the dedication has been significant. This is very difficult work. I want to make three quick framing points and then have Tasha and the team walk through a little bit of what we've accomplished. One is just to understand the context for this. We've heard this morning about the budget challenges that we have, revenues being flat, unemployment high, and the costs of maintaining the unemployment rate and the beneficiaries who need help out there are continuing to be high. So we've set up a dichotomy where we can't really cut vital programs in the state because people need them, and we can't really raise revenues or taxes because it's painful. And we need a third way. And I think what Budgeting for Results offers us is a way to think about how do we dramatically increase the impact of the programs we currently have while potentially reducing their cost. And I think that this allows us a framework to think about a new and more sophisticated tool for budgeting than what we see at the federal level of this harsh sequestration or just uniform across-the-board cuts for agencies, using more of a scalpel than just a hatchet to think about where are we getting the value for the dollars we're spending. Not just results, but the value. And the second point is I think what the state has accomplished here so far is to identify a set of 9 statewide outcomes, which is significant. These are not categories like education. These are meaningful changes in status, condition, or behavior in society that we want to accomplish over time. And by identifying statewide outcomes, it allows us to start to assess value of relative contribution to those outcomes from different providers, from different agencies, and ultimately we can be able to benchmark and compare what's the cost per outcome for this program versus the cost per outcome from that program, so that we can get the maximum outcome for the minimum cost. That allows us to look and change the framework of what we're thinking about from just a post hoc documentation exercise, which many states have done in the equivalent of budgeting for results, basically just forcing every agency and provider to produce a stream of low value administrative throughput metrics that don't really mean anything, to being able to say we have 9 statewide outcomes, we now have common metrics for those outcomes, and we can measure the relative contribution of different agencies and programs to those outcomes. That's extremely powerful. And the third point is the reason why it's powerful is it produces benefits for you as legislators that will allow you to make better decisions. Because rather than thinking about after the fact data, it allows us to actually look at data up front before we make decisions. On some level, this isn't so much budgeting for results as it is results for budgeting. We're able to look at up front what outcomes are we trying to achieve and which programs or agencies are best able to contribute to that outcome and at what cost. And so by putting in place the framework that we've done, we will not only on a post hoc basis have accountability data to see what value you've gotten, but in the upfront setting when you're making appropriations decisions, you'll be able to ask smarter questions. You'll have better data about what the cost per outcome is or what outcomes different programs are aiming at and what they expect to produce in terms of results, which will allow you to be able to make better resource allocation decisions, more informed decisions, and ultimately, hopefully, allow for significant savings while making dramatic increases in the impact and the results that we want to have. So I commend the work that we've done. I think it's significant. It's a long road to hoe, but I think we have a framework that is distinctive and progressive versus what other states are doing, which is really a bunch of documentation and accountability. I think this will allow for powerful decision-making tools. And Tasha can explain a little bit more about our work.